everybody, this is Monica with Countertop Epoxy for Rizzle, and today we'll be bringing you a quick video on why and when does temperatures matter when working with epoxy. For the best possible results, ask yourself these questions before starting your projects. Question number 1, what is my product temperature? Aim for the product temperatures of 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Our black label, premium, castine, and flooring all need to be stored at between 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Store in a cool, dark place in order to properly regulate your temperature on your epoxy. For winter temps, avoid hot water baths, leaving it in a windowsill and leaving under heat lamps. The reason you don't want to do this is because it is raising your external temp and not your core temp. Question number 2. What is the ambient temperature for my working environment? You can't always control the temperatures you work in. So if you're working in hot temperatures, keep in mind that your epoxy will acclimate very quickly. If you're working in cold temperatures, know that your epoxy will have a very slow cure time. And a few quick tips for ambient temperatures. If you're inside a hot building, try having an AC unit on to regulate the room from getting too hot. Stay away from fans to avoid unwanted debris landing onto your workspace. If you're inside a cold building, try having a space heater or heat lamps near your projects. While using heat lamps, make sure that they are 18 to 24 inches above your working project. Product temperature matters the most. Your ambient temperature is number 2 and your surface is the 3rd. Question number 3. What is the surface temperature that you will be pouring on? Just like your ambient temperature, your working surface temperature can also affect your epoxy. Cold surfaces may cause a slow cure, and hot surfaces may cause a fast flash cure. Flash curing is when your epoxy rises in temperature too quickly and can result in becoming hard and unworkable. So we're going to go ahead and show you these factors in 3 demonstrations. For these demos, we will be using our FX Black Label epoxy. For this demo, we will be showing you the different effects of having epoxy that is too cold or too hot before mixing. One kit is sitting at a cooler temp of 48 degrees. The other kit is sitting at a warmer temp of 88 degrees. Remember, the ideal temp for Black Label is 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so neither of these kits are at the right temperature. Our working surface temp is at the same ambient temperature, which is 76 degrees. As you can see, our cooler epoxy is a lot thicker compared to our warmer epoxy. As you can see, it's a lot thicker and slower to pour out when it is a cooler temperature. Our warm epoxy flows thinner and faster. And as you can see, after 3 minutes of mixing our colder and warmer epoxy, their temperature has risen to 52 degrees and 95 degrees. I will just be pouring some of our white FX white. And after mixing for 3 minutes, our temperature climbed to 62 degrees on our cooler and 107 on our warmest. We will be starting with our warmest epoxy, and as y'all can see, it is very thin and easy to pour. Whereas it is easier to pour because the epoxy is hotter, it will shorten your working time. It is easier to use higher temps on a smaller surface, but while working on a big project like a countertop, it will cut your working time and you will run into flash curing. And we will be using our cooler temp. As you can see, it is a lot thicker. While it is colder, it is much harder to spread. Working with colder epoxy will give you a longer working time and potentially a softer cure. Here we have an ambient temperature of 80 degrees Fahrenheit and our working surface is around the same. And our black label is sitting at our ambient temperature of 82 degrees, but our ideal temp we recommend is between 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. When your ambient temperature is a lot warmer, your epoxy will acclimate to that temp. Now that I have mixed for 3 minutes, I'm going to add our FX base color in white. And I will be mixing for an additional 3 minutes. And after an additional 3 minutes of stirring, our epoxy has reached 85 degrees, which is our ideal temp. As you can see, being 85 degrees, it gives you that easy, workable product. We've moved into a cooler room with an ambient temperature of 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Our working surface is 61 degrees. There's only just a few degrees difference between the two. Once again, our black label epoxy is sitting at our ambient temp of 66 degrees. Our ideal temp that we recommend is between 70 to 75 degrees. We will be mixing our product for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes of mixing, I will be adding our FX base color in white. And I will be mixing this for an additional 3 minutes. After 3 minutes of mixing, our epoxy is at 76 degrees. So being in a cooler ambient temperature, you can let your epoxy sit until reaching the ideal temp of 85 degrees. Working in a cooler ambient temperature like the one we're working in makes it easier for us to control the temperature of our epoxy. Because of this, we could let our epoxy sit and warm up to the ideal temperature of 75 degrees Fahrenheit before pouring. For our last demo, we will show you the effects that a cold and hot surface temperatures will have on epoxy. Here we have 2 boards as our working surfaces. One is sitting at 56 degrees. The other is setting at 83. Our ambient temperature is at 75. And our black label epoxy is at the ideal temp of 75 degrees before mixing. We'll be mixing both equal amounts and even temp epoxies at the same time. And today we'll be using our FX color in white. Please remember that while using liquid pigments, it will drop the temperature in your epoxy. And you will be mixing for your 3 minutes. While rolling on top of the colder surface, it does make the epoxy thicker due to the colder temps. And for our warmer board, it does roll on thinner. Thank you everybody for tuning in and watching these quick demonstrations we had for y'all. If you have any questions, just give us a call or email us here at Countertop Epoxy for Rizzle.